Welcome to Biohacking for the Executive Athlete, where high performance meets deep recovery and ambition is powered by coherence. I'm your host, Nicole Ward, Senior Vice President of Sales at Aon, board-certified health and nutrition coach, wellness geek, biohacker, and founder of the Sales Athlete platform. Each week, I get to sit down with industry leaders, elite performers, and trailblazing biohackers to uncover the science, strategies, and daily practices that fuel sustained success at the top. It's not just about pushing harder, it's about recovering smarter, thinking sharper, and performing better. Our energy is our edge, and this is your playbook for high performance from the inside out. Gold Porter is the founder and CEO of Riveter Consulting Group, RCG, a premier lifestyle management and domestic staffing firm serving elite executives, families, and athletes across the United States and abroad. Gold began her career as a Marine-trained paralegal and top graduating financial services advisor. Following the 2008 financial crisis, she pivoted into high-profile personal assistance and estate management work, handling ultra-high net worth clients with discretion, logistical precision, and strategic thinking. That experience led her to co-found Belle Maison Agency in 2011 and subsequently rebrand as Riveter Consulting in 2019. Gold holds a BS in management from Park University and certifications as a Marine Corps paralegal, plus Series 6 and 63 life insurance and financial consulting licenses. Beyond business, she's active in Southern California nonprofits and child enrichment initiatives, embracing female leadership, community empowerment, and holistic lifestyle design. With 2 decades of entrepreneurial experience, a sophisticated client roster, and expertise in growth, brand alignment, and luxury staffing, Gold is uniquely positioned to share her insights with us on high-performance service, executive support systems, and business resilience. Gold, I can't thank you enough for being here today. Your background and role is just so unique, and I'm really excited to have you.
Thanks for having me, Nicole. I love it.
Absolutely.
I love being here and hearing you. It's fun.
I love it. Good. Well, let's start off with the origin story, if we could. You've gone from Marine paralegal to Wall Street advisor to founding a luxury consulting firm. What's the through line in that journey? Give us a little bit of the sense of how those things evolved.
I don't know if I can say it was methodical in any means. It was kind of how the life journey goes. I never had a direct path. Some people, they grow up and they're, they know they want to be a doctor. They know they want to be a pilot. They want to do something. And I never had anything that pulled me in one direction or the other. So I just took the opportunities as they came. And first, when I graduated high school a year early, and I had no interest of going to school. I could not. I truly found education to be a little bit of a prison, and it was not a prison for me. So I signed up for another prison in the military instead. Makes perfect sense.
Marines.
Right, exactly. I love being told what to do. Discovered right away that was very stupid, but life experience. And so when I got out, I got offered an incredible job at the DA's office of San Diego to pursue that career. But again, I knew that wasn't what I loved. And I did some job interviews, interviewed for a brokerage firm, and for whatever reason, it seemed more challenging. And again, when I joined the service, I chose the most difficult service. When I did a job, I chose the most difficult 100% commission. No income whatsoever unless I figured it out. And I did that for about 12 years. So I think that the inline is the challenge, clearly. I naturally just go for very difficult challenges. And then fell into my business. I became a personal assistant, estate manager for a best-selling author, motivational speaker, which we've spoken about before. And through that, learned that I am not a good employee. I should not be taking directions for other people. It doesn't really work with my personality type. And started a agency, same way I had been staffed into the industry. Felt that these agencies didn't really respect the candidates, the employees going into these positions. There was a lack of respect to, people trying to find a job, and I wanted to do it better. So partnered with someone and started my own agency, and here I am, however many years later, still doing it.
I love that story. My own very early beginnings after college were in staffing. So I also have a very fondness for that industry and good memories of that industry and how hard and challenging it is. So I applaud you for that and for doing it your own way. Was there a moment when you knew I should not be working for anyone else? Like, was it a pivotal moment and when you went, I need to run my own thing?
I don't know if it was a pivotal moment. It just kind of naturally succinct once I started my company, and I was finally rewarded for the fact that I've always connected people. I've always been a natural networker of wanting to help people, and I'm like, oh, if I could, this person, you guys should talk, and never getting any monetary compensation for it, and never wanting it, and then when this company came about and I started making those connections, because it really started from all of my personal connections. It's always kind of been more of me that has brought in the referrals and in the business. And putting people in places and jobs they loved and getting that interaction where I'm actually getting energetic back, it seemed like a natural fit.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
And currently, in your role with your company, you support executives and really high net worth clients who are obviously living really fast paced lives, very high demanding lives. What are some of the biggest energy drains that you see? Not only amongst your clients, but how do you then protect yourself against your own energy drain in dealing with all of those high net worth, very high profile individuals?
Yeah, I say that I'm really more of a firefighter than anything, putting out fires all the time, or a therapist listening to either the client side or the candidate employee side of what's going on inside a home or an office. But, our time is our biggest commodity. I mean, this is everything. Time, we go and have a job so that we can have income, but really, it's just a time exchange, and money is the exchange of that. And I find for a lot of executives, like if you really start to telling some of the things that drag you down, for me, it's like dealing with the DMV, dealing with the insurance companies, like those draining calls of government workers where I really want to just kill them and, just snuff myself out. And by bringing in somebody in that can start taking those things off, I think energetically makes you stronger. My first employment with the best-selling author is he had a driver all the time. Like he never drove his own car. And I thought, I was like, okay, that's a little, you just have to have a driver. And then I realized what he could accomplish in his 45-minute drive. The amount of emails I would get in that 45-minute drive, and so for him to pay somebody $25 an hour, he accomplished probably hundreds and thousands of dollars of revenue back to him by taking that off his plate. And so I think if people start really managing their time and what is important to them and where they can off-put it to an employee or someone else, I think it's very valuable, and it saves, it can enrich your lifestyle, it can enrich your family's lifestyle, it can make you more productive, it can make you bring in the revenue. So a lot of benefits.
Yeah. Now, I know you personally to be one heck of a biohacker. You and I have had many, many health and wellness and fringy conversations that I absolutely love and enjoy. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about what your personal non-negotiables are when it comes to your own sort of performance, bringing your A game and recovery.
Exercise, and my body has always been my temple, and I've always treated it that way. I grew up, I was very lucky to grow up with a hippie mom, so I never had sugar or carbs or any of these things, like no white bread for me when I was growing up. I hated it. Unbelievably grateful now because I never had an addiction to sugar and all the things most people do. So I've always had a lot of interest around nutrition and fitness. It's been my church. I call fitness church. I think it's all mental. It's very little physical in some ways. And so exercising at least 5 to 6 days a week, a lot of muscle recovery, a lot of massages, I do a lot on myself. Like, every night I have rollers and I'm rolling myself out with all these torture devices that literally looks like mallets, and
I love it. Yep, same.
I'm like to myself. That has been very important, and carving out. My strong suit is not the mindfulness as much. For years I tried to meditate, and it was just those things knocking my head against the wall and my monkey brain going. And what I discovered is contemplation is easily, if not better, than meditation, and giving myself that space to think, okay, I don't have to just go into this abyss, which some people can drop in and just do that. I can sit in a contemplative state. And I feel like in that state, I've worked for, I can in 1 hour take care of 10 years of therapy, just in my own mind. And so contemplation has probably been the most therapeutic thing in my life.
That's amazing. And I'm reading a book on contemplation, and I absolutely echo that. It is very different. It lives in a very different place from meditation and even mindfulness. It's in this little place in between. I love that call out. When you think of your life 8 to 5, the wearing your business CEO hat, how does health show up for you? Like, how do you, from a stress perspective, time management, how do you weave in all of the biohacking, the health, the contemplation into that 8 to 5 window, or whatever it is, 7 to 7, 7 to 10 window, if you will?
So being a business owner, and especially with the clientele I have, it's never been an 8 to 5. It's been 24/7, 7 days a week, because when the phone rings, the phone rings. So I've built my lifestyle around that, which means I can travel the world. I can be anywhere as long as I have a phone and a laptop. I built my staff around that schedule as well, that we're all very movable and flexible. And so personally, I actually put my fitness and health above my business always. Like I actually structure my day. The first thing I structure my week, I put all my workouts in first, which can be all times a day. I don't have any general schedule. Every day looks completely different. So I just make sure it's in my calendar, and then I build my Calendly, everything around that. Because if I'm not feeling well, I'm not going to be productive. And so for me, that is actually more important, which maybe goes against owning a business. Maybe I shouldn't think that way, but it is primary for me.
No, I completely agree. And this is a shameless plug for my book coming out in 2026, but it's biohacking for the sales athlete, optimizing our health to transform our results. And the whole premise of my book is exactly what you said, which is when we put our health, our wellness, our recovery first, we're better business professionals, better colleagues, better partners, better parents, better friends, because we do ideally what you just outlined you do, which is, let's put the wellness, the health in here, and then we work everything around. Yeah. It all gets done, but the priority we know is wellness and health and taking care of ourselves.
And I have the luxury of being able to do that as a business owner. So,
Sure.
I certainly understand that that's not for everyone. But I've always prioritized that first and then built around it. And, sometimes things have to go, things stack up and I'm like, okay, but that just means I make up for it somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. There's a give and a take, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We do carbon offsetting. I was telling someone yesterday, we do toxin offsetting.
Right.
We do health offsetting.
Well, we've talked about that around beauty products. Yeah. Like, okay, which toxins am I going to take?
Exactly. I love it. So are there particular, to get very specific then, when it comes to rituals or specific tools, wearable devices, things that you use, even supplements or, any sort of, resources that you're using that you go, this is a part of my routine, I cannot not have that, or really helps you stay on track?
So I have I call her an energy coach, and I work with her on a weekly basis, and I've been doing this for about a year. And what I love about her is she is teaching me how to use my own energy, how to make clearings, how to ground, how to, I can tell her everything that's going on in my week, and she will actually teach me my own methods of how to run my own energy. So I run my own energy every single morning, which is like a grounding practice where you kind of feel that your feet are going into the earth. You can feel like you're a tree. You can use whatever methodology that kind of links to how you work. And then a lot of times when I'm doing that, I can feel like I'll start yawning, my eyes will start watering. So I can feel the energy releasing. And then once you feel complete, you bring the sun up, and that's going to charge you. And you say, okay, I want the sun to release every 15 seconds. I need a little more running of energy today. Mm-hmm. And so you're setting kind of a cycle. So that's a morning routine that I do wherever I am in the world. Especially if I'm traveling, grounding is so important to get your circadian rhythm back adjusted to different time zones. Totally. I was just in Europe. So, 10-hour time difference, it makes a big difference. It's hard. Second to that, as far as rituals, I have intentions of setting a lot of rituals. I live between 2 homes. I travel a lot, so it's been very hard to set something that I can stick with. because no day looks the same for me. So I can't say I'm great at that. I have some tools that I use. I have a plasma machine at my other home, which basically runs plasma through your whole body, so you can put it on all kinds of areas. You can smell the ozone in the air. It is something that absolutely drops me down and relaxes me, is what I've seen from it. We also own something called an In Harmony bed, which it's a vibrating bed that goes to, it could be binaural beats, it can be, it could be breath work. And so those type of modalities just to help kind of reset the nervous system. I work with a functional doctor that muscle tests all my herbs, and he designs them. So they're all liquid. I don't take, stereotypical vitamins. It's all purposely for what I'm going through.
Tailored for you.
Tailored for me. And he also works with something called, it's called a Rife machine. He has his own technology, but it's an electric current that goes into the water. So I take these water supplements too, but it's because there's frequency codes in them. So, I'm a little out there on my, I don't do the traditional medicine.
I love it.
Per se. I don't believe in wearable devices because I do think wearing electronics is dangerous for us. So like I have an Apple Watch, maybe I'd use it if I'm trying to time something for an hour. But other than that, the auras, those things, I don't think they're healthy. Oops, so sorry.
No worries.
I don't think they're healthy for us at all. And I have started doing kind of like the blue blockers and trying to, again, reset the circadian rhythm in the home when I'm looking at all these screens. I do recommend anybody that can look at Jack Kruse's work. He's a neurologist that has come out with a lot of information about what light does and sunlight and getting more sun, letting source, that's where it's coming from, as much as I can. Hence why I'm a different color right
You're
now.
super tan that I'm so jealous of. Oh my gosh.
Dark. So I've been soaking, I've been soaking up the sun.
That's wonderful though.
Yeah. So those are kind of, that's how I run my life.
And what about, just adding this on, and I should have said this originally or asked this, detoxing. Are there any just routines you have around like just making sure that you're detoxing on the regular?
So I make a detox tea every week. I make it as an iced tea, so I'm drinking it constantly, and it's ginger, turmeric, cinnamon, milk thistle, dandelion. So I'm constantly kind of just flushing out my system. I have worked with some acupuncturists and stuff, and they're like, actually, you're too cold because I do so much detox. It's like, actually, you need to add a little more warmth to it. So I'm constantly looking at herbs or more of how I look at detoxing, and sometimes I'll do a parasite cleanse, every maybe a quarter. I do a lot of fasting, so I'm already kind of cleansing the fast.
And routine, yeah, totally.
Little of this, little of that.
Absolutely. I get it. Now, I know you travel a lot, and you mentioned just coming back from traveling and how important grounding is. Are there any other things you do that when you're either going someplace and you want to acclimate or more quickly, or when you're coming back from travel and you're like, gosh, it was... I was not in my circadian rhythm. I didn't get the sleep that I should have necessarily, bad hotels, whatever. Any specific travel hacks maybe that you could speak to?
The general rule is anywhere you go, you want to ground like on the earth for about 30 minutes. So when we flew into Athens, Greece, I was like Googling. I'm like, okay, there's a park. Not a lot of parks there, by the way. So had to took my shoes off, and I sat there for 30 minutes. And I just let my feet on the ground to try to reestablish that new time zone. And I don't think neither one of us have had that much jet lag. We get tired towards the end of the day, but it's not like that crash. Yeah.
And I guess last question on this piece is just when you've had a particularly chaotic day or poop really hits the fan, right? Are there things, mindfulness techniques, calming techniques that you use to reset yourself?
My technique is I take a THC chocolate, and that resets me.
Safe place. You can totally share that.
I mean, that's my happy place.
I love it.
I take a lovely little chocolate, and I have love come into my heart, and then I just relax, and I'm like, everything in life is wonderful. And then I wake up the next day, and it is.
I love it.
That's my hack.
And I guess, in your role, because you do interface with so many celebrities, high profile, high net worth individuals, how do you use all of your wealth and knowledge, your health wealth and your knowledge about biohacking to impact them? Or do you find that there's an opportunity for you to either set an example with how you roll as a human, or have there been moments when you've been like, this is someone who could probably use, a tip or a hack or help? Or do you have that opportunity, or is that kind of like a
Again, my clientele can be ultra high net worth, pop stars, professional athletes, very, very high end people.
Yes.
And so I'm not always necessarily directly in touch with them. Sometimes I'm dealing with their staff and things like that. So,
or management team. Or
correct. So
sure.
a lot of times I'm a little further apart, although sometimes I am, I become very close with some of my clients too. And so when I come to a level of friendship, absolutely, then I will. But on a professional level, unless they're asking for something, I stay in my lane as much as I can.
Sure.
It's very exciting when I get a role that involves this. I've hired for a Pilates instructor that's going to fly around the world on a jet and a yacht and be in LA a couple months out of the year. And so I have certainly staff for people that are looking for the nutrition base and are looking for the longevity coach and things like that. And those are fun roles to play with because I do have so much knowledge and it's a passion of mine.
Totally.
But again, I don't usually step into my clients' lives unless I have an open invitation.
Sure.
It's a dangerous place to go.
Sure. No, I completely get that. Well, then flipping a little bit, you as a CEO and someone who manages a sizable group of humans, have you been able to impart some of your health and wellness sort of rituals and routines and knowledge to your team, your respective people that work for you?
I have a great group of women that work for me, and they're all pretty health-based and spiritual-based. So, and by the way, I didn't hire based on that. It just seemed to have, I've clearly attracted that. So we do share things as if almost like friends. It's like, oh, this supplement really worked. How is your integration going after this? Like we do talk on a personal level. For their Christmas and birthday gifts, I usually gift them some kind of spiritual communicator of some sort, an Akashic record reading, somebody that they've really wanted to meet with, somebody in astrology, whatever they want, but something that's going to impact their life, not like a material object that just goes away, something that can actually improve their life. That's always what I gift to them.
That's a lovely gift. That's very impactful, I can imagine, from their perspective.
Yeah, no, it can be life-changing. Like I have a wizard that I refer to everybody, and people are like, it changed my life, and
we all need a wizard.
Yeah,
I need a wizard.
I agree.
We're going to talk after this. I need all the help I can get. So
we all do.
So when there'll hopefully be a lot of the audience listening that are executives, that are all about performance and all about health and wellness and figuring it out. Do you have any specific, advice for anyone who's maybe new to this, who's like, I want to perform better. Yeah. I'm willing to do the hard thing. I'm willing to lean in and be open-minded. Is there advice you'd give to other executives that were listening?
So one of the things that I recently discovered, I've been into nutrition my whole life. I've looked into food. I've built my own diets. I've tried everything, keto, vegan, vegan, blah, 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 blah. Not because they're fad, because I believe in body hacking for myself. So, I've always believed very strongly in eating for your blood type. What I learned recently is I went through a program called Primal Bod. It's this woman, and I think she has $1 billion industry, so I'm plugging it out there. Which was kind of a coaching food program. And she really teaches you the knowledge. It's a 6-week modulated course, and you're learning about glycogen. You're learning about the hormones. So you're educating yourself. It's not just like do this meal plan. And what I kicked myself of is that I thought I could do it by myself this whole time. And I wish I'd found this program 20 years ago to help me. Because her knowledge and how she's constructed this plan gave me immediate results, which I've never had before, physically trying to change my body. And so my advice is get help from people that know better, but use your own discernment. Some people try to fit themselves into a diet or try to fit themselves into a fad, or my friend got great results. But if you're not getting results and it doesn't work for your body, move on to something else, but keep trying. I tell anyone with fitness, anything, like just try something until it works for you. Be open.
Totally. And in terms of your own self and your own journey, if there were one or two things that you could go back and impart to yourself, 20, 25 years ago, What advice would you give your younger self?
Very similar to what I said.
Yeah.
I would have hired and got more coaching and found areas that I want, whether it's nutrition or biohack or something, and went to somebody that is what they do. They live it, they breathe it. Because tangentially, when I'm touching it, I also have a full-time job. I have this. I'm touching and I'm researching a little, but I'm not really knowledgeable enough to be running my own show in some ways. And so I do wish that I'd kind of gone to these professionals at a very early point and kind of got help along the way. I think I would have better results than I did doing it just by myself. I mean, I have a lot of knowledge because of it, but
Totally.
I think I'd be in a better place today.
I think it's really sage advice because we all need to know, like, I'm just going to have to try this for myself and figure it out. Or, I'm never going to learn to ski or snowboard the best I can unless I really dedicate and go to an instructor, which can accelerate, right? That's, a random
it's like
example.
Golf. Like, I can hit a ball all I want, but if I've never got somebody to professionally teach me, my game's always going to be
You're always going to be this level. Exactly. And I think it's knowing when I really should go seek counsel with an expert who can really give me very specific bio-individual advice and specificity on what I need to do. And, I think that's really good advice.
I mean, if you have all the results you want, then you don't need to go somewhere else. But if you're not getting the results, get help.
Yeah.
We have so many incredible people out there, so much knowledge, so many people that can do it better than us. So use them. Use them as a tool.
Almost too much information out there now, right? Now I feel like we're swimming in it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things when I've talked to people that are in your circle and that I've been fortunate enough to get to know, that they describe you as this sort of, balance between military discipline, right? Harkening back to your roots, with elegance and warmth and heart. How do you lead as an executive and as a female leader, balancing all of that? Because that's a really great balance that you've struck and that so many people around you kind of accolade you with.
Wonderful. Nice to hear. I always lead with integrity and honesty. So that's like first and foremost. And I believe most people don't lead with honesty in a lot of ways because we're always trying to kind of live in this PC world and we're trying to please everybody. And I will put honesty above pleasing everybody, which is not always popular. But when you build a reputation at some point, then people know you're always telling the truth. Like you are getting the real deal, no matter what I say. And I do my best to say it with kindness. I can also be a complete blunt object, and I'm sure my friends and family have said that. But open heart as much as possible, and being clear, honest, and truthful, and in full integrity of what's the best situation for everybody. I am constantly looking for a win-win-win. Like that's kind of my rule set. Like it needs to be a win-win-win for all parties. It shouldn't be one side or the other side. So looking to navigate that space no matter what, I believe that's what's got me where I am today.
I love that answer. And the military piece, that I heard your mutual friend sort of reference, I think underlying that was the compliment to you that you've got a lot of grit. And I would love to know where that comes from. If you had to think back, where does your grit and that real tough resilience, where does that come from?
Came way before the military, by the way. Military didn't have much to do with it. I grew up with, I would say, a very male-dominated upbringing. I was the only girl in the house. My parents got divorced very young, and I ended up solely with two brothers and my father. And so I kind of was the primary feminine in the house, but I also had to be very strong to deal with the dynamics, and I had a very brutal grandmother that was awful. And so I had to harden myself a little, which I don't think is a great thing for a woman to do in some ways, but it's allowed me to navigate very male-dominated spaces, finance, all men, military, mostly men. And with that, it's almost become a super skill because I'm not intimidating in those spaces at all. I feel completely equal to men. Or not in a lot of ways in society and truth, but I've never felt the disparity. And so I have a confidence in where I go, and I'm not meek in how I handle things like some women can feel intimidated. I see myself as a human, so I don't see the gender roles necessarily of how I act.
Yeah, I appreciate that so much and relate to that very much. in terms of, a question that I often ask, and it came from my grandmother, she said, poop makes great fertilizer. And I love that quote. And I would love to know, what was your biggest poop? Was there something that happened that even at the time you were like, man, is this shitty? But later a garden grew from that it ended up being an incredibly enriched
Probably
experience.
story I probably should not tell, actually.
We can cut it out later. No problem. Let it rip.
I almost spent 10 years in prison for a crime I did not commit, but was set up. And regardless, I put myself in a situation that I shouldn't put myself in, even though I didn't commit the crime that it was said to. Very dramatic story. A script's been written about it. But poor life choices regardless. But yet, I think any life choice, if you look back 10 years, you go 10 years, you look back and you're like, well, if that didn't happen, I want to be here, here, and here. And if you're happy where you are today, which I am very happy where I am today, then everything was for a reason. And so I look at life in a very different way than most people, because I do believe that we're in a simulation, and I navigate from the law of the universe, whatever the law of the universe is. And so for me, everything is good because there is a reason for it. And I just have to be patient enough to learn what that is.
So it sounds like a sort of a way you see things inherently. It's just that everything, regardless of what it is going to fuel you and your growth.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. It's an ascension path to evolution, and we all need to evolve. And if things are not going in the direction for our own evolution, sometimes something that we see as a negative that throws us off can actually be a catalyst for the biggest change that you make in your life. And so, taking each one of those things, it allows these things to happen to you and to weather the storm a little bit. Like you can weather it a little more.
Absolutely.
Because there's light at the end of the tunnel, as they say.
Right. That there will be a gift in it somewhere.
Absolutely.
There will be a silver lining somewhere. I'd love to hear, because you are very successful, and obviously as an executive, I think it's healthy to have ambition to some degree, but then there's also that balance of feeling a sense of self-acceptance and a sense of peace with where we are.
Right.
How do you balance pushing yourself and ambition with being and contentment and peace?
Still getting there. Balance is what I've been praying for my whole life. Giving myself a break. I used to be like, I didn't work out 6 days. I only worked out 5, and then being down on myself. So I think the biggest thing is just like grace. Grace has become a very important word for me in the last couple of years, of giving myself grace and therefore other people grace. And we don't always accomplish everything we want in a day. I never do. I have a list of to-dos that never end. And it's okay. Tomorrow's another day. And just giving forgiveness to myself probably more than anything.
I love that. I think we do have to give ourselves grace. Recognize we are doing our best, and sometimes just like doing my best and letting that be enough and be okay, right? And in terms of success, when you think of success, apart from financial metrics, what is success for you? And I know you're very much mid to early journey, but when you think about how you're mapping things out for yourself, do you have any thoughts on success?
Success will be how I left this world and what my relationships look like when I do. So making an impact, however that could be, an impact can be an incredible mother that, raised her son and she's very proud. That's her impact and she's happy with that. For me, knowing that I did the best I could for me in this world. Like I was always growing, I was always learning, I was always paying it forward constantly, just giving out that energy that's positive. And knowing that like on my deathbed, the relationships around me will resonate that, knowing that, I did walk in that light. I'll be happy with that.
I love that.
I don't need much more.
Love it. What is there anything I should say that would surprise people to learn about you that even some of your besties don't know?
Oh, I have all kinds. I have all kinds of secrets.
Tell one now.
Oh my God. I think, I'm far more spiritually woo than people understand, like way deeper than most people understand. I think I know that I'm navigating, I look at the world different than almost 99% of the people I talk to. And so I think that's surprising because it very much looks like, I'm this executive and I have this life and da-da-da. But I'm living in a different dimension half the time in my mind's thoughts of how I'm looking at the world and all the clues and what's happening. I'm completely dissecting what's going on every single day of my life. I'm a little Nancy Drew in my life, just trying to piece everything together.
Nancy Drew.
Yeah, I'm constantly like, I'm back here in my mind. There's a whole thing going on back there every day.
Plotting, looking, analyzing.
Just plotting, looking, seeing. I love it. Yeah, so I don't think everybody understands that about me.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So what should I have asked you that I haven't asked you yet? Or what maybe sort of parting thoughts, or, do you have anything else that you'd like to share?
I believe, because obviously you're the people that are listening to this show, you want them to take down this path of biohacking and health and wellness. I know that's so important to you, and I that's part of the passion. I think that when we first started talking, we immediately were like, oh,
totally.
Blah, blah, blah. Be open. There's so many people, I don't, I don't exercise because I don't like it. I'm like, there's things you will like if you keep trying. Like, maybe it's just a long walk every day on the beach, like whatever, just keep trying things. Like, people I find to be so closed, and they build these stories. Like, a lot of what we have in our life are stories, and these come from childhood. They come like, I don't eat this, I don't do this, I haven't had it since I was a child. Well, try it. You're now 45, like 30 years later, maybe you'd like it,
Right.
And people really get locked in. That's the thing about neuroplasticity, is like you get locked into these habits, and some of them can be very negative. Like, I'm going to Ibogaine in a week and a half, which is supposed to clear a lot of these programs. And like, I navigate with a level of openness because I find that it's expanded my life so much by just being willing to try something. So my parting advice is just be open and try in everything.
I love it. And the word that you said there that is so important is programming. And we all have it on a subconscious, very deep level until we become aware of it. And like you say, are willing to understand, why do I have this belief that I've had since I was 5? It's not serving me anymore as a 45-year-old. Maybe I want to look at something a different way or try something new. I think it's wonderful advice.
Unconscious. It's just, it's an unconscious thing that we're just going through.
Totally.
And, maybe someone that hangs out with you might be able to see some of those programs, but you yourself cannot. I have a million programs. We all do. We come in with a clear motherboard, and our parents implant a bunch in, and we just keep adding those programs, society, school, da-da-da. You have no idea how many stories are not your stories.
100. Not ours at all.
Not yours. It was your parents.
Or generationally before us.
Generational.
Yeah.
There's so many stories that we build the construct of how we navigate in life, not knowing that some of them can be very damaged. Because listen, what serves you when you're a kid, some of the things that protected us, helped us
save.
Got through, they were great. You should build those skill sets. But now when you're 45, those can be unraveling your life if you're not aware of those programs. So any toolkit that you can use to get rid of those programs, that's by far the most valuable thing you could do for yourself.
I love it. You're speaking my language now for sure. And this is why we jam, I think, so much. But I love how you've curated around you. What I've heard you say is, whether it's functional medicine, whether it's, energy, coaches, you walk your talk. You yourself have gone in and looked at all the different parts of yourself and the assumptions you're making and questioning those, right? I think questioning is one of the most important things we can do on all levels.
I've tried it all myself. So, at the end of the day, I'm like, I've done it. Like,
it's great.
It's until you've done it, touched it, felt it, tried it, you don't know, plain and simple.
Yeah.
So you're always going to stay in a box if you're not willing to try it yourself. And then otherwise you're just listening to other people and getting all your advice from other people, but not knowing how it really works for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. And if folks wanted to, hire you, or your firm rather, or they wanted to follow you on social, or they want to just know some of the things you're passionate about or any other, speaking, presentation engagements, et cetera, how do people find all things Gold Porter?
So Riveter Consulting is the business. Riveter, like Rosie the Riveter, consulting.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Gold Porter. I don't know if there's any more of me out there. I'm assuming that's the only person with my name. When you have a name like Gold, it just makes life a little bit easier. I do have another side project that I'm starting. And so I have another website called artifactguardians.com, which you're aware of.
Love that.
And you can, anybody that can reach out to me at the company email and get a hold of me.
Love it. You're just fascinating and just walking your talk. And I find that just, it's inspiring beyond words. So grateful. Yeah. Grateful to have had time with you today and appreciate your story and your journey and what you do on so many levels. It's amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun.